being live streamed. The backup recording is on. Tim and Jörn, take it away.
Awesome. Yes, thank you all for coming on back to the Identity Special Interest Group here at Hyperledger. We're going to do things a little bit different today with a presentation from Jörn to kick us off. And then we will have our working group updates once Jörn is done and Shar has joined us. So, Jörn, if you'd like to share your screen and take it away.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Just a second. And I will start my video as well. So I'm honored and thank you for inviting me to your special interest group, and I hope I will meet your expectation regarding the presentation. If I'm too low level, too high level, please let me know and I can adapt. So my name is Jörn Erbguth. I'm affiliated with the University of Geneva. I'm a member of the Senate of Bloxberg, which is an academic blockchain, and have a legal and a computer science background. I'm independent and offer consultancy services in the domain of data protection, blockchains, and sustainable innovation. Today, I will talk about Bloxberg, an academic blockchain, and about an application to do diploma verification, a topic that I've written my PhD thesis on. So let's take a look. Bloxberg was founded or established in 2019. It was these universities, if I count right, it was 11 universities, and it was initiated by Max Planck Society. It's compatible to Ethereum, so you can run Solidity smart contracts, but it's proof of authority. So it's neither proof of waste or proof of work nor proof of stake. And you trust known academic entities, and you don't trust unknown stakes, whatever these stakes are. So this is the difference between well, some other blockchains and Bloxberg. Since 2019, then it was, of course, Bloxberg grew. Now we have about 50 participants and members. And actually, we created also an association under German law. The association is kind of the legal vehicle, and Bloxberg is still a decentralized autonomous organization, but you have a legal entity in parallel for obviously legal reasons in order to be able to organize things, of course. So this is needed, but it does not take away the decentralized aspects of governance. For example, we do an online vote on new members on the blockchain. So it's not the association just setting up everything. And this association was established in 2022 in Cyprus. And as you can see, we have quite some academic members, and it might actually be the biggest proof of authority blockchain, and it definitely is the biggest academic blockchain to my knowledge. So we have a lot of use cases, and those use cases, you see a list here. Since it's an open blockchain, you can get some Bergs and run your own smart contracts. We do not have a limitation there, and the Bergs currently are free, but they are provided in a limited quantity in order to avoid denial of service attacks. And today I will talk about eCert, which is a pilot application from the University of Geneva that I've developed. But you can see we have quite some other applications for voting, for research data verification, etc. And basically, it's you don't buy your trust on some anonymous blockchain, but you get the trust from academic members. And if this is what you're looking for, I think Bloxberg is a good choice. So Bloxberg might not be the best choice to issue cryptocurrencies, but I think for anything related to academics, where academic trust is needed and it can be beneficial, I think it's a good choice. So if there are any questions so far, please let me know, and I will dive deeper into the Bloxberg. Otherwise, I will go on with the ECERT, the GDPR compliant long-term verification of academic titles using blockchain. So we all know that forging academic titles is easy. Often they are exchanged as PDF, not secured at all. You can forge your titles, you can buy forged titles in academic title mills, diploma mills, and it can also be the other way around. There can be rumors that your title is not correct, and later on it turns out that it is correct. So there is a big benefit being able to prove that your title has really been issued by the university. Of course, there are other cases of fraud as well, where the university is bribed and issues titles that are not backed by studies. Of course, there the verification is limited in the effects. So if the university is part of the forgery, then there's little you can do with this kind of verification. You can still see how many titles have been issued. Maybe this is some way to verify that a university is not creating a huge amount of forged titles, but still then the possibility to verify are limited. But when the university is not involved in the forgery, and this is the majority of cases, it creates a real benefit. So what are the requirements? It seems easy that you just want to verify a title, but let's take a look what the requirements are. You have university, some kind of educational institution that issues a diploma, and the diploma is then transferred to the diploma holder, so to the credentials holder. And of course, the credential needs to be verifiable. That's the most obvious requirement, but it doesn't end there. So the university might decide that the diploma is no longer valid, that it has never been valid because there was a case of plagiarism, it was an error or whatever. So there needs to be a possibility to revoke a credential. And this, when you look at different systems, already this is not a requirement that is always been met. Then the credential needs to be verifiable if the institution is no longer there. We know academic titles have a validity that is unlimited, so you might need to verify a title after 50 years, and they are not dependent on the existence of the university. And we see a lot of systems where you verify the title with the university, and this is risky for the credential holders, because if the university doesn't exist anymore, they cannot verify any longer their credentials, their title, and this means that the trust in their achievements might be lost. And also, of course, if credential has been revoked, the revocation needs to be permanent as well. It doesn't help if you can still verify a credential, but you don't see the revocation anymore because the server where the revocation list is being kept is no longer available. This will also destroy the trust in the credential. So the most important question is, where do we need trust? So the credential verifier usually does not trust the credential holder. That's the reason why they verify the credential. If they trust the credential holder, we don't need any system. We just trust the credential holder. Yeah, I see some questions. So the Bloxberg blockchain is public but permissioned. Permissioned regarding the validators, not permissioned regarding putting transactions on the blockchain. And there is no collaboration right now to the US Trusted Learners Network, but we might establish them. So coming back, sorry for this interruption, coming back to the credential verifier, they do not trust the credential holder, but they trust the institution. So they don't need a third party. They don't need to trust the blockchain if the institution is available to confirm that the credential is valid. And of course, we need a trust in the other way around as well. That institution does not want to provide anybody with the information that there is a diploma for a specific person, because this is personal data, and it's protected in Europe under data protection law. And so they need to be verify that there is a justification for the verification. So for example, if you can prove that you have a diploma, if you prove that you have the copy of the diploma, then you might have a justification to get the verification of the diploma. If you don't have anything, you can't just go to university and ask them, well, does XY have a diploma at your university, at your institution? This is usually not desired, and under data protection law also not permitted. The question arises, what happens if the institution is no longer there? And that's the point where we need some kind of autonomous automation, some kind of autonomous infrastructure. And since my focus is on data protection, and immutability is something that is a property that data protection law does not really like, to put it slightly, lightly, we need to have a specific reason for an autonomous immutable system there. And here we have the reason, because we need to be able to verify a credential even when the credential institution is no longer around. So I see some more questions. Yeah, but thank you for your feedback. So, well, how does this system secure a university degree? Well, you can secure it using a server of the university. This is the most straightforward way. You can easily create this. Well, you can have a QR code on the diploma, or a link, or whatever. But as I said, it then depends on the university and on the infrastructure being available. Also, there are some privacy concerns because of tracking. If the only way to verify a diploma is to access a server of the university, it means that the university can track what diploma has been verified, how often, by which IP address. And this can be problematic under data protection consideration as well. Then we have qualified electronic signatures. We have eIDAS, we have Certis in Switzerland. We have those laws that provide a means for qualified electronic signatures and seals that have the same quality as manual manuscript signatures. There are two issues with them. One is that they cannot be revoked. You can revoke a certificate and then you cannot sign any longer based on this certificate. But once you have created a signature, you cannot revoke it. And certificates expire. So what do? You add a timestamp on a qualified electronic seal, and the timestamp certifies that the qualified electronic seal was made within the validity period of this certificate, which is a basic basis for the qualified electronic seal. So far, so fine. However, the timestamp is also based on a certificate that also expires. This means that you have to re-timestamp or re-sign and qualified electronic seals regularly. Since those timestamps work with qualified electronic seals, with qualified electronic certificates that have a long validity, like 10 years. You don't have to do it too often, but you have to do it if you want to keep legal validity. Well, then you can use blockchain. Blockchains are highly immutable. Well, there might be a case where blockchain technology is outdated and you might need to migrate. If you think in terms of 50 years, it's highly likely that this will happen. But blockchains do not provide authentication of actors. So you can verify that the transaction has been made, that it has not been tampered with, but you don't have a proof who did it. And this is where the combination with qualified electronic seals makes sense. And this is why those three techniques are combined. So you have a diploma data, you create a diploma. So if you still have a printed diploma, you can scan it. But of course, you should rather use generated diplomas. Then you apply a qualified electronic seal. And the hash value is put on the blockchain. Here it is put on the Bloxberg blockchain. This means you can verify it against the server of the university. You can verify it locally with the exception that you cannot see revocations, but you see that the original document has been valid. And you can verify directly against the blockchain, for example, using a blockchain explorer. So why this combination? And of course, we have discussed a lot, why not self-sovereign identity wallets? Well, as I said, blockchain alone does not prove authenticity. So you can prove that it has not been altered, but you cannot prove that it was really the university that has issued the certificate, the credential, that has issued the credential. Also, as we have seen, the qualified electronic seal is not revocable and needs constant timestamping. And we have discussed self-sovereign identity. Self-sovereign identity requires wallets for students. So storing a PDF, even storing a paper copy, which contains the relevant information to do the verification, is much easier than requiring students to have a wallet and to update their wallet. The wallet usually is on a smartphone. The smartphone is replaced regularly. And if the wallet is only used for the diplomas, the students might not update and migrate the wallets all the time. So if we will have EU wallets and other wallets and will use them on a daily basis, there is nothing against including it in such a wallet. But as long as this is not the case, requiring a wallet will just reduce usability. In theory, you could have a bit more self-sovereign identity with wallets, meaning that you could actually decouple the name from the credential. But this doesn't make any sense with diplomas. you still want to have the name to verify and not just a fingerprint, that the fingerprint is connected to a diploma. So I don't see the advantage here. This is different if you issue tickets or whatever, then you don't really need the link to the name. But for diplomas, I don't really see the advantage. So as long as wallets are not commonplace, I see wallets as a disadvantage and not as something that produces benefit. But of course, it is possible to use wallets as well. And of course, we have it optimized for privacy. Privacy means to reduce the risk of tracking. If you have a single point of verification, you can track every verification there. And also that you cannot verify the existence of a diploma without having access to the diploma. With this architecture, we can share the smart contract. And the smart contract is accessed by APIs, and the APIs can access, the websites can access the API. If you have multiple universities using the same smart contract, you can have synergies like cross-verification. You can verify diploma from one university with the other university. You can share development, particularly migration development that might be needed in the next 50 years. So I don't have any doubts that there needs to be some kind of migration with quantum computing coming into becoming commonplace. We will certainly have to migrate. No blockchain is secure from migration. And of course, common governance. And we had a question, shouldn't the revocation be stored off-chain? So right now, with the smart contracts, the revocation is stored on-chain. And when you look at data protection, the pure hash value of a diploma on-chain is, and this is, there are some debates around it, but I'm quite certain that this is not personal data. So, but if you add anything to this hash value, for example, revocation information, then this becomes personal data, because then the hash value becomes some kind of key to access the revocation data. So of course we have discussed it quite a bit. Should the revocation information be stored on chain as we do it, or should it be stored in a revocation list, which is then only verified by a hash on the blockchain? While the later seems to be better regarding data protection, it means that the revocation list might get lost, and since the revocation list it is an important part of the trust into the system, I don't think the revocation list should be less secure than the hash value itself. So how does it work? You have the verification possibilities. Actually, you have 5, which is a bit complex, but you don't have to use all of them. So you can verify the diploma online. You can verify just with the key with a link, but this is optional. If you want to share your diploma on social media, you can use that link, and you will directly end up on the server of the university to show your diploma. But this is only for students that want to make their diploma public. And it can be deactivated later on. Then you have the information, including sold value on the diploma. And this basically proves that you have a copy, that you're in the possession of the diploma, and therefore have a justification to verify whether this diploma is valid or not. And the last thing, and the most easiest way, of course, is to have a hash value of the PDF file. Then you can just verify the PDF file, and you don't have to type or copy anything. But as I said, you can also verify it in Acrobat Reader with the limitation that you don't see the possible revocations. And you can verify it directly using a standard blockchain explorer. So the web app offers these three ways to verify and allows the verification of diplomas of other universities. But of course, then it does not show the verified diploma. This is only shown with the university that has issued the diploma, because only that university has the data. The other universities only have access to the hash value on verification on the blockchain. So this is so far what I would like to say about the ESET system at University of Geneva. This was a pilot, and currently we are building to use it in a real world scenario for micro certification, for micro credentials. And if you permit, I would like to bring your attention to an event that we organize. Since the University of Geneva is member of the Bloxberg Association, we created something called a Bloxberg Hub, which offers events, discussions, etc. on Bloxberg and blockchain related topics. And on Monday, May 13th, we have a discussion on the evolving crypto regulatory landscape in Europe, particularly what are the implications for fundamental rights such as privacy and data protection, for innovation, and for the existing crypto industry. We have quite some crypto regulation being passed. We have some regulators that have become very active, and we want to discuss what the impact on privacy, fundamental rights, and on the existing industries. So please feel free to register and join us there. It's an online event. And of course, I'm looking forward to your questions on Bloxberg and on the ESET system. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was a great presentation, super interesting use case. I probably missed this. Where does a graduate store their diploma if it's not stored in a wallet?
It's a file. They can store it as a PDF, the PDF file. They receive it by email. They can print it, and even the printed diploma can be verified because it contains the data, including the ID and the salt. So they can store it in by conventional means. Every student is used to store diplomas in paper, and increasingly people are used to store electronic documents. So this is this is the most simple way for students to store their credentials, I think.
Right. Cool. Thank you.
I see another question.
Hi, I was trying to turn my video on, but Chart's telling me I can't, so I have to remain video anonymous. But appreciate the presentation. I just want to circle back to share on the U.S. Trusted Learner Network, because I think that there's some areas that the two organizations could potentially benefit. But I found it particularly interesting when you said about students don't need wallets, and the view philosophically from the Trusted Learner Network and the concepts in the U.S. is that in the 21st century, students are going to have a range of education for which they can be certified against. They will continue in traditional degree programs like you've highlighted here. They'll have non-traditional degree or certificate programs and professional certificates. They'll have knowledge that's accumulated through on-the-job training, et cetera, that may lead to, you know, an industry-specific certification in, you know, in mechanics or in healthcare or something like that. And I think they're approaching it from the standpoint, and I think there's some other folks here on the call that participate in TLN, so they can correct me, that no one knows my education better than me, but it's perfectly understandable to have a certifiable or a mutable record to do that. So the vision is the student has a wallet, and that wallet has a credential or more than one credentials, depending on issuers, that are tied back through DIDCOM means and others to be able to say, I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Texas, I have a professional certification through a Microsoft school, and I attended a community college and got this associate's degree. And all of those are either an individual credential or tied to my credential and have DIDCOM structures and the like to come back and say, yes, we verify or agree, or this is a trusted issuer and trusted verifier that you completed this degree here. This seems to me a bit like, hey, there's a smart contract system that as a student allows me to attest that I went to university, but like you said, I have a PDF of it, but the blockchain immutability is back with the university that is trusted. I don't know if that's of interest or not, or helpful, but.
So, well, there is a possibility to use a qualified electronic seal, which provides official trust. But of course, it is jurisdiction dependent. It's even the case that the Swiss electronic seal is not recognized by the EU and vice versa. So this is limited, but of course you can do that. Or you have to do it in the well, some kind of governance of the smart contract. And of course, this is a bit shaky. You can do it. You can publish smart contract addresses on university servers. You can publish a statement that this is the right smart contract address, but this is a bit shaky. The wallet part, well, if you use a wallet for everything, it's fine. So we have different systems. The EU is planning a wallet. Switzerland is planning a wallet. Institutions are planning wallets. And we might end up with people having dozens of different wallets that are not compatible. And we have the Europass system by the EU that offers some kind of a centralized wallet where you can upload all your education, and they say, well, this education is stored at us, and we will provide you with recommendations for further education. And I'm from a privacy standpoint, I don't think it's good that government will have access to all education certificates of everybody. I think this is a bit frightening rather than a positive scenario. And well, if you have a wallet that is able to take all certificates in one wallet, then this is another case. But currently we don't have these kind of systems. And so if sometimes this kind of wallet is established, and hopefully it will not be dependent only on jurisdictions, but it will be compatible with different jurisdictions, and then of course, you should be able to put your credentials in there. There's no question about that. But if you look at the situation right now, we have the announcements of the Swiss wallet, of the EU wallet, and they're still not there. So what to do? Use another wallet and then have a wallet that students need to migrate, and you don't really have a benefit of using a wallet. I wouldn't do so. So I would rather wait until there is some wallet established and then rely on that wallet. And with Bloxberg, of course, there's a question also is, well, will universities establish a system for credentials for their diplomas, or will they rely on government defined and administrated systems? And of course, it might be easier for universities to rely on the government, depending on the government, how forthcoming they are. But then it's always jurisdiction dependent. Unfortunately, we don't have some kind of universal wallet credential system inside that is completely compatible. But if this happens to be created, of course, it should be used.
Very helpful. Thank you. I guess my last little follow-on question to that is for what it sounds like this is very university centric, which is great, but for those cases where the learning is through a non-traditional university setting, is there a mechanism in the consortium overall to account for how that gets included as an educational credential?
Well, Bloxberg is a network of universities or academic institutions. But you can use the system even if you're not an academic institution, but you're just providing diplomas or any other kind of certification. So it's an open system. At the same time, sorry, what was your question?
Oh, you just answered it, sir. That was perfect. Yeah, no, I would the availability of the open network means it's available to others to participate that aren't strictly registered universities. So thank you very much. I'll quit taking time.
What I wanted to add is you have specific properties of diplomas. You have the properties that the diploma remains valid when the university is no longer around. And you have the property that a diploma, if it's being revoked, it's revoked ex tunc, meaning from the beginning. If you have, for example, a driver's license can be revoked, but only for the future. So if you rented a car today and you proved your driver's license, and then the next month you lose your driver's license because of drunk driving or whatever incident, then the rental company that has provided you with the car has no legitimate interest to know that you have lost your driver's license. If you have rented the car and it's a long-term rental contract, they might have an interest into checking whether you still have a driver's license. So it really depends on the situation, whether you have a right to verify a credential later on or not. And this is specific to diplomas. If you get a job with a diploma and later on you quit the company, and later on it turns out that you have not been a real doctor, and the hospital that has employed you might now be sued because of malpractice, then they have a justification to verify even after you have quit the institution. But this depends on the use case, and this is the problem with data protection. It often depends on the use case, on the situation, and you can't have there is no system that will also be GDPR compliant, regardless of the use case. You have to make sure that you have the legitimate interest for the verification, and this has an impact on the architecture and the design of the system.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
So if you have any questions about Bloxberg, it's an association, and it has been initiated by Max Planck Society, and Max Planck Society also has, of course, dedicated resources for it. And of course, this is the question: how do you manage governance in the long run? And I don't know how other mostly non-profit blockchains do that, but it's an important question that we are faced with at Bloxberg as well.
So is that related to how you get paid?
Well, we are not being paid. Nobody, well, I don't want to be paid. We are just members, and every member operates a node by themselves. But of course, we need to have some kind of activity like technical expertise that will provide updates, that will provide necessary development. We have marketing activities, we have organizational activities, and we are now discussing how we can dedicate some funding to it. And this is a question that, well, I guess every association has to resolve. And we have discussed whether we should make the tokens, paid tokens, but I don't think it's a good solution, because then it becomes commercial, then we are confronted with a lot of regulation and speculation, so we don't want to do that. We can ask membership fees, and this might be difficult for universities. And I think the best way is to have some kind of sponsorship and dedication for specific tasks within the association. And there are research grants that can cover that. Also, we apply for grants from government, and this is some activity that's required, and needs some kind of constant attention.
Yeah, when I said get paid, what I mean is if you want to maintain an ecosystem of developers, people who are dedicated to this project, somebody has to pay it.
Exactly.
And in your case, Max Planck Institute is doing it, but that is a private foundation or a government-funded foundation. And what about the viability, the long-term viability of such a system being carried forward through the years? Because a degree is something you get at the beginning of, usually, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but when you're young, and it could be with you for 20, 30, 40,
Sure.
50 years or whatever.
Well, this is a very valid question. And usually universities are very good in doing research, but they research usually is not long term. So after people have received their PhD or moved to another university, we need to be able to provide some continuity. And in my opinion, the continuity can be achieved by universities using the system. While the research interest is the main interest in the beginning, I don't think the research interest can guarantee the long-term viability of the system. But as universities increasingly use the system, they have an interest in maintaining the system. So particularly if you share the maintenance of the system, then it's not a huge amount of money that is required. But you have to have the interest of the stakeholders in order to provide for the longevity of the system. And then it doesn't really depend how you charge the money. If you have some kind of fee structure or some kind of dedication, whatever, if the stakeholders have a vital interest in maintaining the system, they will. If they lose this interest, regardless of whatever system you put in place, they will not. Does this make sense to you?
True. And also the use of such a facility is going to be very episodic, meaning if I have a paper degree, I don't I haven't even taken out my paper degree since I got it. So maybe some doctors or some other people frame it and put it on their walls, but nobody I know takes out, I mean, has to expose this credential periodically.
Exactly.
Maybe for some sensitive professions like you mentioned, doctors and so on. Anyway, Dan has a
No, so Vipin, so I was one of those people that when I got my Bachelor of Engineering degree, put it on a plaque, had a, put it on a plaque. And then when I showed up for the first day of work at Raytheon many years ago, they asked me to bring my proof, my diploma. So I had to bring a piece of frickin' plywood for my first day of work. So yes, that was me on the first day of work with a piece of plywood.
Okay. Well, at the University of Geneva, you can still get a calligraph diploma. You have to pay extra for it, but you can get it. So if you want to have a nice writing of your diploma, you can and ask them for a handwritten calligraphed version of the diploma. So this is the reason why I'm so skeptical about wallets. If you use a wallet every day, it's like Apple Pay, etc. It works, and nobody cares about. Of course, we all do the updates, etc. But if you don't have to use it every day, but every 5 or 10 years or 2 years, whatever, it will not be maintained, and then you have the issue that students will come and ask, well, can we have a reissued diploma? And if then the institution is no longer there, then you have an issue.
For the pilot at or for the program at Max Planck Institute so far, which format are graduates wanting their diplomas in through Bloxberg?
Well, we at the pilot at the University of Geneva, they receive PDFs.
Cool.
Since, well, this is the most common format, it has disadvantages, and of course, providing a different format that is compatible with open badges and backpacks, etc. That's nice and can be done on top, but I don't think it will replace the most common way people use documents. You can say, well, this is outdated, this is not a nice technology, and I agree with everything, but people just use it.
That's what people know.
Also, you can say, well, we also have this discussion, should we use a smart contract? Smart contracts are kind of ugly from a theoretical point of view. You have everything on a chain on one ledger. If you have a lot of data, then the ledger becomes congested. You have a mixture of data and code, and well, this is just an ugly concept like basic programming. But well, it works.
But this has nothing to do with the smart contract. It has to do with whether you store the PII on chain or not.
Well, as I said, you need to store something in an immutable way. And from a data protection point of view, whenever you store something in an immutable way, you have to have a very good reason. And my argument here is that here is a very good reason. And you store it in a minimalized way, meaning that you need to have the diploma to access this information. Without this diploma, you have no access, and the information is protected.
So I may have misunderstood something. Beyond the PDF, at point of inquiry, can I present something electronic that's immutable to the requester without having to go back to the source university and requesting a transfer of documents or something immutable then?
Well, you have the PDF. The PDF has a qualified electronic seal that can be verified with the limitation of qualified electronic seals as they are defined by law. And you can verify the PDF using a web interface of every participating university and also with a little bit of manual work directly against the blockchain.
Okay, thank you.
We had discussions whether to put QR code on the diploma or not. And this discussion is still ongoing. QR codes are very handy, so you can just scan them and see the verification. But QR codes are also a security risk. They can just transfer you to a fake website, and it might be quite difficult to see that the website is faked because you didn't type in the URL. So for example, if you replace one of the letters, if you replace the I from Unige, the URL of University of Geneva, with a Spanish I, then you can have a different URL, a different domain. You will end up on some kind of server, and it seems like a verification, but it isn't. Also, if you have some kind of access to a University of Geneva server, you might be able to put some kind of fake verification on some kind of server, some kind of system, like you do with these techniques that you can use to make different websites show some information that is originally not there. And this is a risk for QR codes. And we are discussing whether we want to put the QR codes on the diplomas with some kind of warning, or if we just provide a URL on the diploma so people have to type, but we have higher security standards.
But even typing, you can have fat fingering and it'll take you to some other site.
Sure,
It
but
happens. It happens because there are some, known variations. For example, www.amazon.com, maybe something other than Amazon. But it always falls to the person who's looking at the website to verify the spelling of the website and the fact that it's it's got a lock code and all that. In the end,
Sure.
that's what makes the difference. I mean, you're right that the QR code can be hijacked, but meaning somebody can make a fake diploma with a fake QR code, but the real diploma with the real QR code will still go to the to the university.
Sure, the real diploma can still be verified, but you can have a fake verification website. You can do some kind of code injection and even on some university URL, and that will display some external information, and you don't see that it is not directly coming from the university. And so this code injection and this using similar URL risks are much bigger if you use a QR code than if you type a URL. But of course, you're right. When typing a URL, this issue can also arise.
well, we live in a dangerous world.
Sure. Well, it's not Fort Knox, so you you have to have decent security. If there is some very minimal forgery, we are still 1,000 times better than we are right now. So we don't have to build Fort Knox, but of course we should have much better security than we have now.
Well, for that matter, even paper diplomas can be faked.
Sure.
And
Well,
have been.
well, there are security standards, and of course, with better scanners, maybe even AI-generated diplomas, we can fake diplomas much better, paper diplomas much better than before. When you look at current University of Geneva diplomas, they have certain security features. They have special paper. They have some kind of seal impregnated that cannot just be copied by a scanner and a printer. And they use special fonts so that you cannot just replace a name with a different name without noticing it. But this special combination of fonts is also a feature that can be used, but that is not available to everybody, because if you make it available to everybody, then it's not a security feature anymore, because then you can reproduce it. And so paper is a risk as well, and an increasing risk. And particularly, well, if you know the original diploma, then you can still verify it. But if you're being presented by a nice piece of paper, you cannot distinguish it from a real diploma unless you know how this specific university diplomas look like.
True. I think we have come to the end of the presentation. I mean, time. Char.
Yeah, unfortunately, so sorry to cut you off. It does look like we are at time, but thank you so much for a great presentation and such an interesting use case and discussion. I sent out the link to the meeting page with all the working group updates. So if you'd like to catch up on those, go to that page. Just want to call out as well Lynn's announcement in the chat that the Indicio testnet reset is happening Tuesday, May 7th, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. You can contact him for more details. Other than that, thank you so much, Jörn, for the presentation, and thank you everyone for your questions and jumping in, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I just put the link to our event on the 13th in the chat.
Great.
And have a great time, continuation of the day or evening, wherever you are. And thank you very much for your interest.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your presentation and for sending the info about the event. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
you.
The video is
Bye.
up on YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you.